Hi, my name is Ankur Crawford. I've been at Alger since 2004. I manage the Alger Concentrated Equity strategy, and my title is Executive Vice President, Portfolio Manager, and Partner. I was born in Manhattan, Kansas. When I was 5, we made our way to the Middle East, and so I grew up in Saudi Arabia, went to a boarding school in India till I was about 12, and then moved back to Buffalo, New York. Growing up in an engineering household was definitively influential in my decision to become an engineer. Along the way, though, I realized that I actually had this passion for understanding materials. I had worked at Intel, I had studied semis, I had built my own chips, and then went and got my PhD in material science and engineering. I came in as a research associate. I actually didn't know if I had a passion for investing. I knew a lot about material science and atoms, but nothing about what we actually do on a day-to-day basis. The natural fit for me was semiconductors, and then after a few years transitioned to things like solar and utilities and became the head of our tech group. Soon thereafter became a portfolio manager on our mid-cap product, and then in 2015 joined Patrick on large cap strategies. The concentrated equity product is anywhere from 20 to 30 names, and they have incredible pricing power. They have the advantages of scale. I would say 50% of the names probably have the characteristics of being natural monopolies. They're incredibly dominant in their space. Also, with a more concentrated benchmark, it behooves us to also be more concentrated, which is really the genesis of this product. We always try and invest in the highest conviction ideas and also have the ability and the agility to move in and out of maybe some names that are perhaps not as well covered by the street. We are looking for not only high conviction, but also good risk reward of companies that are growing, innovating. Because when you run a 30 stock portfolio, oftentimes the sector doesn't matter as much as the company itself. We want to own the companies that kind of excite you the most and their growth prospects are the most exciting, because you really want each company to have a differentiated viewpoint relative to the market. I would say it's steeped in large cap, but has the ability to go down in market cap when we find something that's incredibly special. We think there's some very interesting and unique companies that are going to come to the fore that we are going to want for our clients. That ability to toggle down in market cap clearly is an important aspect of investing in some of these most interesting companies. I think we're at a very unique time in our history as both humans and as investors. When software writes software, innovation becomes exponential. I think we've never lived through exponential innovation as a society, where each of us can actually innovate and create. We can create apps, we can create businesses, and all we need is creativity. I think the disruptors of the world that we grew up with are going to get disrupted by a new cohort of companies that will be driven by innovation. I think it's an exciting time for active managers because you really have to understand the nuances of the businesses that you're owning. What I do believe in fundamentally is that the Alger philosophy is one that has been tested through not only time, but many different kinds of economies. I think that's differentiated. The common thread throughout Alger and in this strategy as well is that philosophy of looking for change is strongly expressed. This is the part of the job that's the most fun, is getting to know the companies and all of the layers that come to life. But if you look through our process, it's getting to know the management team, understanding the products, understanding the supply chain, and how these products actually impact the world. I think running any portfolio, you have to be beyond discipline. I think you have to be astute enough to understand when the opportunity set changes. Because again, where there is great change, there's oftentimes the greatest opportunity. We're constantly looking at risk reward. That risk reward is also constantly changing because the competitive landscapes are changing. I think the most gratifying part about this is when you find an opportunity that no one else recognizes and you get to put into the portfolios for our clients.